Welcome to the Simplicity Mock Overwatch League. I'm Who Knows, and I'm joined here with Killswitch. And today we have a banger match of the Dallas Royalty versus the Guangzhou Goblins. Now, uh, the first map will be Busan, picked by the Dallas Royalty, and we'll be getting into it soon.
For sure. So this match is actually pretty big because as of now, play-ins are mostly secured, but playoffs, that's where a lot of movement can happen still. Especially after Houston took a 0-3 loss yesterday. Houston has the potential to move. I mean, not has the potential, that sounds pretty bad, but like they can move from the second seed all the way down to the sixth seed just from this one match and Boston's match, which is also happening in the background. Um, and also Dallas currently 6-2 with a plus 15 map diff, and Guangzhou 7-1 also with a plus 15 map diff. So if Dallas just somehow squeaks out a win, then Dallas just easily takes over Guangzhou's spot in the seedings too. So we can see definitely a lot of movement. And currently, if Guangzhou secures a win, then they can maintain their second seed. But we've sort of seen a couple upgrades throughout the season. So these losses are not currently indicative of what the current talent on the roster at the moment.
For sure. And I would like to remind our viewers that this is the battle for the first seed in the Pacific Division, Dallas being currently number 2 and Guangzhou being number 1. So this is, as you said, a pretty important match. Now, Guangzhou's roster, as well as Dallas's, looks a little bit different since the last time. Guangzhou has picked up a projectile DPS player, excuse me, Miracle, who we have not seen before, and I'm excited to see what they have. And Dallas, they have picked up Fusion, who was previously on Vancouver and has moved to the projectile DPS role as well on Dallas. So this will be exciting seeing both new projectile DPS players battling it out.
For sure. So what I'm thinking is, I'm not sure if you've, who knows, did you ever play one of these two teams before?
I've actually played both. These were the
Oh,
first and second games that we played.
all right. So it seems like both of the teams sort of like noticed like a lack of DPS. Did when you played them, did you sort of like see like their damage dealers as the weak link, or do you think these upgrades were like necessary, or what do you think these upgrades
Now,
sort of spell?
I think this will be. Now, when I played against Guangzhou, this was our very first game, and it was extremely close. It was actually a 3-2 win from Guangzhou. Uh, and I would say that the projectile DPS role could have been a little bit better. So Miracle subbing in for, I think it was previously Jaeger, maybe, um, will be just ridiculously different. As well as when we played Dallas, we were down a couple members, but their tank line and their support line were both really strong. But I don't remember the DPS being uh, the biggest issue.
All right. So we're just now getting into our first map here. Um, we'll see what compositions these teams are running. We're starting on Busan. Honestly, I forgot the name of this specific map of Busan, but from what I remember, Ball Sig is typically what teams usually run just because Ball is sort of a staple at this map. And yes, we see both teams locking in the Ball Sig. DPS look a little different. What do you think about that? Who knows?
You know, the Symmetra pick, I'm assuming, will just be for a teleporter out of spawn. But what I would like to mention is the Tracer Soldier from Guangzhou. Now, that could be really interesting. Kind of a hybrid between consistent damage and the diving capabilities that Tracer has.
For sure. So Dallas blocking the Mercy Ash seems like they're just looking for picks with that, rather than like the consistent damage that you mentioned. Let's see. So Guangzhou takes care of the drum on the left, and So both teams are just rotating around point at the moment.
Yeah, Chief goes for an engage, but swing and a miss at the moment. A pile drive comes out from Evelix, but doesn't really find any value at the moment. ATR falls dangerously low as Chief engages onto the point, but is getting bullied off by Miracle. Mr. Crit has a great off angle as well, as Fusion gets stunned, and Evelix and Mr. Crit find the first 2 picks. Guangzhou look to be winning this first point. The rock misses from Pink Central, but it won't matter as Guangzhou quickly cleans up the first fight.
So it seemed like the soldiers worked better there. We didn't really see many picks coming out from Bagel, even with that damage boost, and clearly defined by the ult charge only at 38%. And Dallas just really needs to get Bagel into a spot where he has enough space, can get the picks onto their Zen and Brig, and there we see, actually they trade out here. Bagel trades with King Kong Poppy. Evelix goes for an engage, drops low, has to move, and currently just doing it out on the point. Ooh, Twitch Marine with a clutch bash onto Miracle, and ATR takes care of Pink Central. Seems like Dallas got it back.
Well, the Mr. Crit finding 2 as reciprocating. Evelix trying to stall the point, but will fall as well as Fusion. That's 3 for Mr. Crit right now, but falling dangerously low, only 50 HP, will get healed up. Now, I would like to point out the ultimate banks of both teams. Guangzhou, not in control of the point, but coming up on 4 ultimate. A sticky bomb comes out, won't find any value as it was on the Wrecking Ball. Chief, really low HP. The visor comes out from Mr. Crit, and it finds Ghost Dog, Chief, and Bagel falling as well. And the point will swap to Guangzhou with only 1 ultimate used, the Tac Visor.
Yeah, we just saw Guangzhou just pop ults. Dallas didn't really have any answer to them. ATR still building up Transcendence. So they just took the quick reset and looking to go again here. They should be up in ults, so they should be able to win this fight. But maybe the double support ults from Guangzhou make a difference because Dallas had to swap from that Mercy onto the Brig.
Yeah, those that and the Zen ultimate, both really key ultimates in winning team fights. An engage comes in from Evelix with the minefield, but met with ATR's Transcendence. Bob comes out of the point, and Dallas will swap it. Now in control, Chief pops his minefield and finds Evelix. Pink Central with the Graphitic Flux popped. Will find Twitch Marine. Ghost Dog with his own Graphitic Flux finds King Kong Poppy. Both main supports are down from each team. Dallas in control of the point, but it's extremely back and forth. It looks as Guangzhou has a slight advantage, but Fusion killing Pink Central takes care of the core for Guangzhou. Mr. Crit finding Chief, and Guangzhou will come out on top in this fight.
Yeah, actually I was really surprised with that. So both tanks from Guangzhou did die super early in that fight. So I expected like the DPS just have immense space and get around with it, but Guangzhou with smart ult fuses just brings it back. And now Dallas has to rush onto the point, and they got a pick onto Evelix, traded out with ATR though. Dallas is currently controlling point, they get the cap, and seems like Guangzhou is just sort of poking from a distance right now. Doesn't look like they're going for a hard engage yet. But we do see Mr. Crit pop the Tac Visor, gets one. Chief falls too, gets another one, and that's should be it actually. Just Lucio. Fusion maybe makes a miracle play on Tracer, but does not have a pulse, so yep, there he goes.
Yeah, the whip shot from Kabosu, the last ability used, the last kill, and first round will go to Guangzhou. Now, that was Sanctuary, the more open map, but what do you think we'll start to see when we head into the next map?
Not exactly sure what the next map. Okay, so we're on Mecha Base. Inside, I really like to see Orion here, especially after his buffs. I know yesterday in our match with Houston, we played Ryan here, and honestly, Ryan just feels super dominant, especially after his plus 50 HP and extra damage. But we're seeing Zarya ball comp. That's pretty interesting. Haven't seen that in a while from Guangzhou. And they're sticking with the Ana too. Ana Doom. So maybe a Nano Doom, Nano Zarya as their win conditions here.
Yeah, looks like Oh, Ghost Dog with the charge in. Evelix goes for just some disruption and a slam. Guangzhou taking the fight really early. Dallas on the back foot, which is not what you expect, but Fusion finding Miracle. He got hacked and wasn't able to make it out. Dallas now walking up and finds Pink Central and King Kong. And Guangzhou are on the back foot, now forced off of the point, and Dallas will take the first cap.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas just had the Sombra, hacked the Doomfist. Doomfist couldn't really do anything. And then Ball obviously has to be scared to go in when the opposing team has a Sombra. So the Death Ball comp from Dallas just usually wins in that inside space. I think Guangzhou could have played a little better there rather than engaging head on, but that's up to them. We'll see.
We will see a swap onto the Rhine from Evelix. Both teams playing some neutral. Pink Central forced it, but Ghost Dog finding its counterpart. Miracle picking off Ghost Dog as well. Both teams are down their Rhine, but ATR with 3, a massive coalescence. You don't normally see that used for damage, but ATR is bloodthirsty on this Moira.
Yep. So that first fight was really key. ATR was able to build up his and then Guangzhou had to make some swaps, so they're obviously behind at the ult bank, and ATR just goes ahead and blazes in and picks off 3. We'll see what Ghost Dog can do with his shatter. Oh, well, I guess he won't see what Ghost Dog can do. And seems like Guangzhou just took a page out of Dallas's book with their Death Ball comp and just ran straight through both of Dallas's tanks.
Yeah, now we do have a little bit of slight difference in these comps in the flex DPS spot. What do you think is better generally, the McCree or the Sombra?
I think the Kree might edge out the Sombra a little bit here, especially because there's 2 high grounds on this map, so Kree can just stay there and get free shots from above, while the rest of the team is like engaging on the ground, especially with the rush comp that Dallas is running. But EMP, as we all know, is a strong ability, or a strong ultimate, but with that strong ultimate, you have the drawback and damage from Sombra. So Fusion just has to get in here, EMP early, and make an opening for his team. But as I say that, Bagel does fall super early. And Guangzhou's take initiative here. Nano's Evilix in. Oh, hits a fat shatter onto the backline, and that should be a win for Guangzhou.
Yeah, Evilix, this Reinhardt. Ghost Dog has been forced to play a little bit secondary, just Guangzhou taking the initiative in some of these fights, but Dallas does have this huge ultimate bank matched only by Kabosu's beat. The Coalescence comes out as well as a Graviton Surge. Mr. Crit finding Fusion before he could use the EMP. Both Death Blossoms come out, but Mr. Crit, protected by Kabosu's sound barrier, will come out on the upper hand, finding 3. Now, that is ultimate bank burned through completely from Dallas.
Yeah, that pick on Sombra was just super clutch from Guangzhou. If they pick the Sombra, they can just drop beat on the grab and not have to worry about the EMP, which they just did. But here EMP comes out, EMP shatter, classic combo. Guangzhou responds with the grab. I'm not sure about it because no one was there to follow up on it. And Pink Central picked off, had nowhere to run to shoot. They're investing in Nano here. I'm actually confused unless Guangzhou is looking to make some swaps. I really do not agree with burning both Grav and Nano, and pretty much seemed like an already lost fight.
Yeah, now coming into this fight, Evilix dangerously close to a shatter, but Twitch Marine does indeed have the sound barrier, and ATR with the Coalescence as well. Guangzhou walking up close. The Coalescence does come out, but a shatter takes down the backline of Dallas. The sound barrier comes out, but it's not fast enough to save the life of Ghost Dog. Fusion takes out Mr. Crit, and it's a 1-for-1 trade, but without the core of Ghost Dog, Pink Central is able to take out Twitch Marine, and Guangzhou on the upper hand. They're +1 right now. A Graviton Surge comes out from Chief onto Evelix, but isn't able to take him out. The Coalescence from King Kong mid-fight, but Pink Central jumping off the map. Maybe he saw a cool rock down there in the pit, but Guangzhou will be able to win this fight, it seems. Miracle picking up 2. Kabosu with the beat for good measure. ATR, the last one, forced onto the point and killed by Evelix. That will be, unless Bagel can touch the point, which he can't. It will be the first map for Guangzhou.
Yeah, I think we just saw the difference in their compositions really made the difference in that match, or in that round at least. The Sombra just wasn't able to get enough done in comparison to the Kree from Guangzhou. Pretty sure Fusion only dropped one EMP. As you seen him play the game, that clutch pick onto Fusion while he had EMP just led the way for Guangzhou to win this fight. So from that match, I think Dallas just has to be more aggressive in these fights, especially if they have the Sombra Reaper. Sombra really needs to either hack someone or drop the EMP early. Otherwise, no one else on it, they can't really match the damage from the Kree. So then Sombra, and if Sombra can't get util, then Dallas just loses that every time. So Dallas is gonna pick map here as they just lost first map. Who knows? What do you think Dallas should go with here? Um, I think we might have lost Who knows? I'm not sure. But judging by what I just saw from this match so far, Guangzhou just seems to have Dallas's number on every comp, even on the mirror. So, and it looks like Dallas is going to go with full Skya. So that's probably going to spell double shield from the team, at least on defense for sure. I'm not sure about what they will run on attack. Oh, never mind. Dallas made a mistake. Second map is not actually 2CP. It's going to be hybrid instead. So, but judging from what Dallas's mindset was with picking full Sky, I think they want to go to double shield. They tried the Balsig, tried Balls Zarya, or they didn't try Balls Zarya. They tried Rein Zarya. I think they want to try a different sort of tank line to see if they can sort of beat Guangzhou in the mirror in some different comp, because right now, whatever they're running is just not cutting it. And Dallas is going to roll with Eichenwald for this. And first point, definitely, or really almost all the points, can definitely be played with double shield. We might see Orisa Sigma or Rein Sigma. Depends on what sort of like comp they want to run, especially on third point Eichenwald. We definitely like to see a lot of Rein, especially with it being inside. Or we might just see Rein Sigma the entire map, just depending on how much the Rein buff actually means in this current meta.
Yeah, for sure. So we did have some internet issues with Who Knows. So for the time being, Season will be casting alongside Killswitch until he gets back. So going into Eichenwald here, we are, like you said, we don't know if they're going to run more Rein as well, because I know Evelix is historically the Guangzhou's Reinhardt player, so these teams might actually be leaning towards playing more Rein after the patches. Personally, I don't think it changes the meta too much, so I would not expect, or if I do see Rein, I would expect either a mirror or honestly just the Balsig. I think the Balsig is very strong. Double shield is still very strong, but we'll have to see what they end up locking in here.
For sure. And so you did mention Evelix was the primary Rein player, and then what do you know anything about Dallas's tanks? What do they typically like to run?
Yeah, so Dallas tanks Ghost Dog and Chief. So you have Chief as their off tank. Generally, when they run double shield, though, they do end up swapping. I'm actually not quite sure. They both are very flexible in the tank role, and I think for a while they had Ghost Dog on the Sigma when they were playing double shield. Or no, that was with the Ball Sigma, excuse me. So they would have Ghost Dog on the Sigma, who's their main tank, and they'd have Chief play the Wrecking Ball. But it looks like Dallas is going to be opting towards the double shield here with the double sniper. And we are seeing a rush comp here coming out from Guangzhou, so we'll have to see how they approach this double shield, trying to avoid these long open areas. And one thing I do want to point out, Kabosu is a DPS player, and he's playing Lucio. So this is interesting. I don't know if it has to do with current roster situations. Maybe Guangzhou didn't have a player, or maybe they have him in because they want him to play a lot of Brig. But there's a little bit of scouting. Guangzhou is going to rotate over to the left side. Actually, no, they're just going to walk straight into the front of into Ghost Dog. Ghost Dog has to use the Fortify and back off. Chief does find Evelix, though, sowing a lot of damage. Ghost Dog falls to Mr. Crit in the off angle, though. Mr. Crit finding Bagel as well. So this might be a really good opening. They're walking into the backline. Immortality Field used by ATR. He drops very low, but Fusion finds Miracle. So they might be able to stall this out. Chief and Twitch Marine still living for a very long time. ATR still low HP, but Mr. Crit does find Twitch Marine. ATR is trying to he's at half HP trying to keep his team up, but it's not going to work out too well. And Mr. Crit's just lighting up the kill feed right now. Picks up, I think he got 6 in that fight. He just opened that up all by himself.
For sure, Mr. Crit was just absolutely cracked that fight. I don't think Dallas really had an answer to him. And also, it's just what we see with first point icon wall. There's not really too much long area or long space that you can play in. And since Dallas was playing with the double sniper, they really needed that sort of long stretch or some sort of space where Guangzhou's forced to walk up and take a lot of damage on the way in. However, icon wall, you got that big pillar in the middle, so Guangzhou just rotated around, played their cards carefully. And as we're getting to this next fight, Miracle does burn the pulse, countered by the immortality from ATR. Evilix gets a burn right in front of the window. They trade with Chief though, and Dallas looking to try to get some space here, but Kabosu does drop the beat. We'll see what happens here. This is especially dangerous with the Lucio, and ooh, yeah, Ghost Dog does fall off the edge. Mr. Crit again lighting up that kill feed with his ultimate, and looks like another win fight for Guangzhou here.
Yeah, and it was honestly it was a really good decision as the respawns ended up in such a way where Dallas could not take the high ground immediately because Guangzhou had already walked up. They were able to stuff the chokes with their dragons. As I talked about, our ults coming out from the side of Dallas. Dragons do come out. Bagel finds one. And might be a little bit of overult here. Fusion finds Evelix, ATR finds Mr. Crit, and Fusion does find Ping Central as well. Maybe a few too many ults here, but Dallas does stop this steamroll coming out from Guangzhou. And I think Guangzhou, they did a very good job stuffing the doors because they are, generally I would like to see teams play for the high ground, but since they are playing this brawl comp, stuffing the doors works a little bit better for the current comp. And we are gonna have to see where they try to rotate their castle. This definitely favors our comp very well. And Dallas is gonna have to respect this. Fusion finds Miracle, but ATR drops low. The Bongo is out, so they can still keep doing this. Rotation to the high ground all the way around. Ping Central uses the Gravitic Flux, finds Ghost Dog and Fusion. Doesn't look like they have the Fortify, and a Shatter comes out from Evelix, just gonna clean up the rest of the fight. King Kong Poppy just cleaning up. Mr. Crit and Evelix find Bagel and Chief, and that's just gonna be Guangzhou firing back immediately.
As you mentioned, with that second point hold, Dallas definitely overulted there. They only had a Bongo, and a Muesli Bongo does not really do much against the Flux and the Fat Shadow that Evilix just laid down. So Guangzhou playing a little aggro again, but not going quite to the spawn doors this time. And Chief is on the Zarya actually, so we'll see how that plays in. Chief does burn both his bubbles early though, so that might spell trouble, but Evelix gets a little aggro, gets picked off by Twitch Marine there. Bagel zoning Deadeye, I think. Not really sure, but Ghost Dog just walks in. Since they're down the Rhine, Ghost Dog can just get all that free space he needs and just hammers them all.
Yeah, what I would have liked to see Guangzhou do is take advantage of the fact that Balcony was open for free. They could have rotated their Sigma, their Lucio, and their McCree over to the high ground, or the Lucio could have stayed with the core. And the McCree and the Sigma high ground could have put a lot of pressure onto Dallas as they're walking out and make it so they can't play that inside corner like a lot of teams like to. Both teams walking together. Coalescence does come out from King Kapapi. High Noon comes out from Mr. Crit. Immortality comes out from ATR. Shatter comes out, finds two though. The backline from Guangzhou. And Chief picking up Ping Central. Miracle's trending back. Beat comes out, but it's just Kabosu and Mr. Crit. I don't think that was exactly what Kabosu wanted. But he's going into the backline anyway. Pure DPS fashion. Really trying to get something done, but Bagel cleaning up both of them, and it's back to the drawing board for Guangzhou.
Yep, we just saw Chief pop off basically. They just lost their shields pretty early. Chief was just able to lay in that damage on that high charge Zarya, and Dallas coming up with 5 ults here. Should be a held fight here. But Evilix, as I say that, lays down a big shatter onto Dallas. Chief ults back with the grab. Bagel gets picked up before he can quite get that Deadeye off. And it seems like Guangzhou just rolled right through. Kind of surprising, actually. Dallas did have 5 ults to work with in that fight, but they just got steamrolled. I think we just saw how big of a difference Lucio makes, but as I say that, Ghost Dog spinning to win on the point. Doesn't seem like they can quite get rid of him yet. Oh, as I say that, Evelix gets a pin. Window comes out from Guangzhou, and they're able to clean up with that. Tire on point just for good measure. Finds Twitch Marine in the back. Just Chief on Diva. And that's it. Guangzhou caps 3rd with a pretty decent time bank there, actually.
Yeah, but considering how dominantly they took 1st and were steamrolling 2nd point, honestly, Dallas can't be too upset about that. They did shave off 3 or 4 minutes from their time bank overall. But I think just the general composition difference is Chief opting for that Zarya. I don't think that is the correct play against the Ryan Sigma. It's just very hard to get damage in. And then also, Zarya is a little bit more of a liability than Sigma. And I think that in the current state of the game, just the Gravitic Flux is just a lot more impactful of an ult than the Graviton Surge. And it's just, I think, the decision to run the Ryan Sigma from Guangzhou was just superior to running the Zarya. It looks like on attack, Dallas is going to be opting for the Zarya again. And we do have Guangzhou running the double shield here. We might be seeing a double shield. Or Ghost Dog playing a little bit of Ring Around the Rosie on the tank roll, but locking in the Reinhardt again. And we'll have to see if Guangzhou can make this double shield work. Against the Brawl, what you're looking to do with double shield is just to try and give up space. And try and buy enough time for your DPS to find angles and find picks. And just lay into the damage as these aggressive Brawl comps are trying to cross big gaps areas, and already Ghost Dog and Chief dropping very low. Miracle finds a 1-clip on ATR in the backline. It's a really good pick. And now Guangzhou marching forward, burns down Ghost Dog and finds Bagel as well and gets fusion. It's just cleanup here. And ATR back on the Baptiste. And I think that, yeah, so looks like they might be trying to switch to the double shield. It's going to be too difficult to make this Ryan Zarya work here. So they're just going to mirror. Twitch Marine still on the Lucio, probably. Actually, I'm not quite sure why they're on the Lucio. Kabosi finds ATR again. And I think just with this Lucio, you're just going to have so much less shield break. And you're going to have so much less pressure without that Discord orb. And you don't really gain anything from having the Lucio speed boost. So I would imagine that Twitch Marine will want to switch here, because he's not really close to beat at all. Yet does switch to the Brig.
Yeah, so we're seeing a swap to the Brig. But the problem with that is that, as you said, Guangzhou still has that Zen, and I'm not sure. I just like Zen better than Brig here, especially with the Discord. And as you've seen, Dallas just having trouble getting in the first place, and the Brig just makes it even harder. A pull pulse combo comes out, but Immortality there just to save the day. But that leads the way for a huge flux from Pink Central. Drops Chief and Ghost Dog both at half HP. Chief falls, Ghost Dog falls, Twitch Marine falls. Fusion answers back with a pick onto Evilix. If Dallas and Bagel answers back with a pick on the Mr. Crit. But the stagger... Okay. The Fusion... So DPS from Dallas is making some heroic efforts in the last part, but sadly was not enough. But with that Lucio, it seems Dallas is back onto that Lucio again. I don't know why they seem to be super stubborn about running it. I think they just want to go super fast, especially after getting those picks. But Guangzhou's already back. Drops the Bongo, drops And Mr. Crit still holding on to Deadeye here. Can spell trouble, but Immortality's still alive. And seems like, or actually, let's say that Ghost Dog and Fusion both fall to Pink Central. Pink Central just walking in, taking care of half of Dallas right there. Chief should fall soon. Twitch Marine down again, and Bagel lurking around the back. Finds King Kong Poppy, but eventually traded out.
Yeah, these exit picks actually could mean quite a bit. Twitch Marine back on the Brig, and I think that's just, honestly, it's just really not great for him because he probably could have had a rally at this point if he had been on Brig that entire time. And I think, like you said, just the differences between the comps is just a very different way that both these teams are going to want to approach the fight. Dallas is going to be wanting to play a little bit more close and personal and get value from their Brig, which they're not really getting value out of right now. Bosu does die in the midair, and Mr. Crit does trade Bagel as well. Both IMAX Cedars come out from both sides. Flux comes out from Ping Central, but unfortunately the lamp does not get destroyed fast enough, but it's still going to be cleanup here. Bongo did come out from Ghost Dog, and it's just more cleanup from the side of Guangzhou and just trying to get these last-minute picks. And Dallas really showing that they're not quite sure how to run this Brig. I think the Brig comp actually is better than the Zen comp if you can play it well, because you can get all up in the Zen comp's face and you can have so much sustain and then build a fast rally and then be able to take advantage of the fact of that extra healing, and also the stuns as well gives you a lot of utility. But close hold from Guangzhou, and they're just going to be able to clean this up with their superior ult bank and the fact that Dallas is on a weird fast comp here. And full hold on Eichenwald, and Guangzhou takes a very fast 2-0 in this series. This is not what we were expected for a match that was supposed to be, you know, Dallas's chance to try and take the first place spot in this division. They're really not delivering today.
For sure. I mean, I really think that Dallas were just confused on that first point attack there. Twitch Marine swapping between Lucio Brig basically constantly throughout that match. Like, seemed like after every fight he was just playing mystery heroes. He was just on a different hero every time. I don't think he ever was able to build a single support ult, and support ults, as we all know, are very key in winning a lot of fights. But I think Dallas just was confused, and they were just trying too many different things at once. I think if they just, like, after that Ryan Czar first attack failed, I think they should have just stuck with the double shield, blocked Twitch Marine to that Brig, and just stuck with it. I think they got over aggro with those exit picks and tried to go fast again with the Lucio, but then but those picks didn't really matter because both of the DPS, I think, from Guangzhou that were picked came back just in time, and Guangzhou just won again with the superior support lineup.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you there. Dallas is kind of playing mystery heroes, and because of that, they weren't able to really build up their ults, or they were able to get a few ults, but they couldn't get those key ults in the rally that would have helped them get a lot of pressure just in the normal neutral fights. And being able to decide like which comp you're going to run into the comp that Guangzhou is running. Guangzhou running the BAP Zen. So I think one approach is you can either go for the ball sig and just try and pressure out the Zen, trying to get some flankers on that Zen to pressure as much as possible and make it difficult for them to actually get a lot of value out of their Discord. Or you could mirror, obviously. But I think that I still believe that the Brig BAP, even after her nerfs, is still a stronger comp if the team knows how to play it well. And that's just kind of ditching the poke mentality of double shield that a lot of teams have. And it's kind of more of a, you still play to like play around corners, but you hold maybe some more close quarters, or close corners where you can actually get value out of your Brig. And then eventually you'd be able to out-sustain the Zen. And then paired with, usually a lot of teams are running the Echo. The Echo can get into the back line, focus out the Zen, and just, if played properly, can get a lot of value onto the back line. And it's very difficult for like with the Zen and Bap, you have Zen who has a single target healing, and Bap is just going to have so much extra work to do if there's just threats from all sides. But Dallas opting for the Brig, but not really getting the most value out of it that they could have. So we'll have to see what kind of swaps they make here going into the next map. I don't think they've picked it yet, but yeah, Dallas is going to have map pick again because they are the losers of this map, and we are going to be going to Assault. So what map would you like to see them go to?
I actually have to check with that real quick. Do you remember the map pool other than
it's going to be
Volskaya?
Temple of Anubis, Volskaya, and Hanamura. Those are the only three competitively viable 2CP maps in the pool, so or in the game right now.
That's true.
Right.
Horizon and Paris. Unlucky.
It gets dry, but those are the maps we have here.
Yep. So before actually Dallas when they thought that 2CP was the second map, they were opting to go for Volskaya there. And I think their mindset was they want to run the double shield because of just how their previous take lines on Busan failed. But after that match, I'm not sure if they really want to go to Volskaya again or go to Volskaya and play double shield again, especially after getting full held on Eichenwald first. Hanamura is probably definitely another double shield strong map. Maybe Dallas tries to go with Anubis here. I know you can run ball and attack first point at least. Not sure how strong Balsig was. Balsig is on second point. I saw Balsig played a little bit in Gauntlet, or played a lot actually in Gauntlet on Anubis, but again, you have to keep in mind Gauntlet is still one patch behind Ryan buffs Arnon, so but Balsig might be what Dallas tries to go with here. Not sure though. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. I think that going to Volskaya is probably a death sentence unless Dallas can really figure out their double shield. But honestly, I think all of these maps favor double shield. They all have areas where you can hold down sight lions and play at medium range and just try and keep them from actually getting through chokes and just doing a lot of damage on their way in. But I think that maps like Hanamura and Temple of Anubis both offer the ability. Actually, I think all three maps offer the ability to play the Ball Sigma. I think even though the fact that Gauntlet is one patch behind, I don't think any of the changes made in this patch were actually meaningful. I don't think it actually changed the meta at all because giving Ryan some extra armor is good. Getting him more damage isn't really the reason why he's picked. It's just kind of like the state of the game at the moment where there's a lot of spam damage, which in turn means there's a lot of healing. So with a lot of spam damage, Ryan can't cross large open spaces as easily. It's also hard for him to lock down a lot of these long-range hit scans that we're seeing. A lot of teams playing Ashe. And also it's hard for Ryan to lock down Ball as well. Unless he has the Shatter, hits a really good pin. He can't really do anything against Ball. And then also against Sigma could just keep walking backwards or just set up an area that Ryan has a difficult time getting to in the first place. I just think, unfortunately, and then also D.Va just getting her ratio of armor to health redistributed. I don't think that means anything as well because I think just unfortunately for some of these earlier heroes, I think the power creep is definitely getting to them. And unfortunately, Ryan and D.Va, I think, are just kind of getting power creep out of the meta as the game continues to evolve.
Yeah, for sure. And that D.Va buff doesn't really help too much, especially against a Sigma whose damage is already through the roof. Especially a rock they can't even eat with the Matrix.
Exactly.
So
Sigma just does it all. He does what D.Va does, but better. Except D.Va can fly, I guess.
for sure.
But
all my off tank homies stuck in Sigma
we're
jail.
The Sig jail. We're all in the Hog jail. You have a few homies locking the Rat, but it's very difficult I think one of the big problems with Diva is that we are in a state of the game where there's just so much damage. You know, Sigma still, even patches and patches of nerfing his damage, does a lot of damage. His ult is just so effective because, you know, it's always going to be effective at doing damage because it's percentage based. Or it's percentage health based. So it's always going to do half the health bar on the slam. It's always quarter on the original lift. So it just Sigma does a lot of damage, and then also the fact that he has a damage mitigation ability, or actually it technically has two. One with his grasp, one with his shield. He can really do it all, and then he has a stun as well. And it's just really hard to compete with that, especially Diva, where a lot of her, like, when she gets to do damage is when she gets in really close range to all these targets. And this is not a meta where she can reasonably do that, especially with Brig being played. And then the second she shows herself, she's going to get discorded by Zen, and she's going to get it doesn't matter that she has 300 armor now, it's just she's still going to get burned out, and she's not going to be able to actually get anything done before she gets demeched or before she has to disengage. And Temple of Anubis has been selected by Dallas. So we'll see if they try and run the double shield or if they try and run Brawl. You can definitely run Brawl in here. I think it's sinning a little bit to run Brawl in the current climate of the game. But also, like you said, there is the possibility of playing Wrecking Ball here as well. And a lot of teams in the Gauntlet, and I mean a lot of teams, are playing Wrecking Ball. And actually, as we speak, I have the Gauntlet open, and both teams are playing Ball Sigma, and Noble is currently playing 5v6, unfortunately. Looks like Petal disconnected, but that's not the game we're looking at right now. So actually something different from the side of Guangzhou. We have a dive here, and it might just be some attacker shenanigans. Ping Central on the ball, so they're on the ball Winston, but they're on the Sombra Genji with Mercy Ana. And this is definitely a comp where you can hack a target, throw a whole bunch of heroes on it with all the high mobility, and then you have the built-in ultimate win conditions with the Nano Blade and also the damage boost. And then also the Sombra, they are going to roll out on this. And Dallas, they're sticking to the double shield, so maybe they figured out what they were doing wrong, and they're going to be able to figure out. Mr. Crit does get scouted down the Sombra, so we'll have to reset, but Ping Central is into the backline, boots Fusion in, but does have the Coach Gun, so he does get out for free. Ping Central dropping pretty low. Everybody's trying to bail him out, but boops Chief off again, but Chief found Cabosu on Mercy, and ends up not surviving because Twitch Marine drops down, even gets hacked as well, and it's just cleanup here. And I think, you know, Dallas is really figuring out how to play into this into the dive, and the dive will have to try and take advantage of Ping knocking off these targets and just trying to really get onto that. But also the Sombra needed to get set up as well. It does get scouted out again.
I'm just not sure if I agree with this dive composition. I mean, it might just be Guangzhou. They are up 2 maps. They just want to try something out for fun, or they just want to test something out. But especially with that Brig and BAP, it's really hard to isolate a target and punish them if they have bad positioning, because that Brig it's just huge counter to ball, or a huge counter to ping, so he has to be wary of that Brig when he goes in for those knockoffs. And then that BAP, if a person does get knocked off, as a sock drops the lamp and saves them. But as I say that, Ping Central falls again. They drop the Bongo though, so, but Miracle falls soon. They get the res on Ping Central, but Evelix falls. So doesn't seem like Guangzhou can really do much this fight. Ping Central falls again. Looks like the supports are trying to get out. I don't think Bagel will let them. And there's a stick onto Donna, and Mercy falls too. So I just don't agree with this dive composition that Guangzhou really wants to run, but maybe they can make something happen with the EMP Blade and the Valk if needed on this next attack.
Yeah, I think if Guangzhou biffs this attack or this fight here, they're probably going to get full health. The Valk does come out as EMP comes out only, actually I think it missed everyone. The Flux does hit it's a bunch of ults used from both sides, but it's lighting up the kill feed blue with Dallas, and that's gonna be Bob, Pulse, Window, and Flux used from Dallas. So I guess if you're Guangzhou, you're not too upset about that because he did force a lot of ults out, but you know, like I said, it's just that had to be the fight that you won. Now you have a minute left. Mr. Crit is on the Widow, Miracle's onto the Tracer, so it's really oh, Pink Central found by Bagel again, got pulled and rocked by the tanks, and then finished off with Bagel. And Dallas, they really took that halftime, and I think maybe the P break they took might be helping them out a little bit, but Guangzhou, they have their tank ults, and Pink Central is getting burst down again. A beautiful pull rock from the tanks again. Evelix trying to zone out Chief and trying to push Ghost Dog, both tanks onto the low ground here. King Kong Poppy getting poked out right now in a really bad spot. How to use a nade on himself. And Bagel finds Evelix again. The res comes out from Gabosu, but the pulse finds Mr. Crit as well. Bagel's just completely unleashed here. Mine's onto the low ground, and Chief might be in trouble, but does get the help from ATR in the rally as well from Twitch Marine. Fusion does get antied, might get taken out here, but the lamp is there as well. With the bongo, it's going to be very difficult for Guangzhou to actually get something done here. Evelix is 1 HP, does get pulled, taken out. Bagel finds Mr. Crit as well, and Ping Central is just trying to, it would take a miracle that's probably not going to happen here because he's at really low HP. Flux comes out from Chief just to try and stop any Stagglers from coming back, and it's going to catch Cabosu. He won't be able to touch the point here. And Dallas saying, anything you can do, I can do better. They got full held on Eichenwald, and they didn't care at all. They full held Guangzhou here on Temple, and I do believe it is partially Guangzhou's fault, if I'm being honest.
I mean, I would just put that 70% on Guangzhou just for that team comp, honestly. I mean, Ball Winston, just two like really easily punished tanks when they jump in, and if they get like bashed, or as we saw, Chief just having Chief just rocking Ping Central constantly throughout that round. If they just get stunned, they're just gonna get bursted down super quickly by that double shield composition. And it really did seem like Ping Central was playing a respawn simulator for most of that round. He honestly just caught out so many times by the pulls, by the rocks, by the bashes. And even if, as we did see that first fight, he did get a knockoff onto Ghost Dog, or I think it was Chief actually, onto the low ground. But then we just saw the Lamp come out, and Lamp just the free get out of jail card. So if they really wanted to play the ball, play the Winston, they really need to isolate that target faster, more efficiently, and get them farther away from the team instead of allowing all that PL to come through. But we see Guangzhou going back to the double shield, and Dallas is actually on the Ryan Czar again. So the brawl comp that you mentioned, what do you think about that?
I think it's going to get shut down hard here, and Mr. Crit already fought two. Miracle with another, and I think running the Brig here is just a big question mark. I think if you are going to go for the brawl comp here, you really do need that Lucio to help you cross the open space, especially with all the spam coming here from Miracle. I would honestly recommend that Dallas just switch here. I don't think you're going to get anything on this comp, and it's going to be difficult as is to break this defense with all the spam coming out from Miracle on the Junkrat, and then also just all the spam coming from Ash and Orisa Sig as well. Fusion's not going to be able to get a whole lot done on the Doomfist either, I don't think. And it looks like they are going to opt for the Lucio. They're on Lucio. Pull comes out, and already a quick tire from Miracle, and this should be able to get, actually, doesn't quite get close enough. Health bars do drop low, but nobody dies on the side of Dallas. And they go on the back line. Nano under the Doomfist, though. This could be huge, but Lamp comes out to deny that, and health bars looking low. Ghost Dog dropping very low, does die, and it's going to be back to the drawing board. Bagel maybe trying to get a back cap to try and force them to come back to... Oh, but that's a big pick, though. Fusion finding King Kong Poppy on the way out. Does get res by Kabosu. G finds Ping Central. And now they really have to deal with this Tracer who's just capping for free and also killing everyone. This is a disaster from Guangzhou. And they're just going to C9 on the point. That was questionable. That was a questionable map. Just in general, I don't really think that was not any kind of orthodox Overwatch that you would expect to see from these two teams. I think it was just, you know, very chaotic, running some interesting comps and winning honestly by some weird win conditions that aren't really the goal of the comps in general.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really sold on either of those attacks, honestly. I think both of those
I wasn't
defense.
either.
Yeah, I think the defense should have been able to full hold for each one of those. I mean, that we saw Dallas full hold. I expected Guangzhou to also perform similarly, but they just got run over by the Brawl. Surprisingly, Doomfist, who everyone thought was out of the meta and just a complete bad hero, actually got that opening for Dallas there. I think, as he said, he came in with a pick onto King Kong Poppy, and then that forced Caboose to use the res on King Kong Poppy. But while that was happening, Pink Central just got picked because no supports were healing at that point. And then Bagel just snuck in behind, almost got the full cap, the full C9 there. But even when Guangzhou rotated back to point, you were just picked off. And it just seemed like Guangzhou wasn't... I don't want to say they weren't trying 100%, but it just didn't seem like they were the same Guangzhou that we saw in maps 1 and 2.
Yeah, I can see the thought process behind the comp that Guangzhou was running on attack. The idea, I think, is that you have a lot of win conditions where you get that really strong power spike and that break point in your comp where you have the EMP, you have the Nano Blade, you have Valk as well. And you honestly, just on paper, with those ultimates, you should be able to just get a very easy team wipe. But I think there was just a lot of reliance on your ultimates and not enough reliance on running a actual comp that can actually reasonably accomplish its win conditions. You have the Ball Winston, and both of these heroes, if like Ball could get shut down very easily, especially with the Brig, and then if the poles are used correctly, and you can layer your CC with the Rock and the Brig, it becomes very difficult for the Ball to actually get something done. And then if you saw where ATR was playing, ATR was just on the back high ground behind Plat, up above the point A. And you just ask yourself, how do you actually stage to dive that Baptiste? And the answer is you don't. You go back to spawn, you mirror double shield. That's how you stage to dive that Baptiste, is you just switch to a different comp. And I think just the fact that Guangzhou took a little bit too long to get their ults online, so that when they finally did try to switch their comp back, they knew that they couldn't do a full swap because they only had a minute left, and there's no way that they would be able to mirror the double shield with 0 ults versus the few ults that Dallas had. Remember, Dallas did waste a lot of ults in that fight where Guangzhou used all of their ults as well. So it could have been... it still, though, if they would have had to switch all of their entire team comp, they still would have been an ult disadvantage. So it wasn't really a good situation from Guangzhou all around. So we are heading over to Gibraltar. This is Guangzhou's map pick, and I would imagine that they went here because they probably want to run a little bit more dive. I know King Kong Poppy likes running this Ana. Evelix and Ping Central onto the Orisa Hog. This is standard. Most teams looking for a pull outside of onto the catwalk there. Generally, you can catch a DPS or maybe a tank that's just sitting inside that room and get a quick pick. Overall, it helps you set up for helps you set up for the first point a little bit better. But in the grand scheme of things, even there's a big deal. But with Sig being in meta, probably not gonna mean anything. Fusion gets pulled, does get focused out, but does get out safely with the sleep onto Mr. Crit. Really good sleep there. Went a little bit too deep onto that Ashe, and onto the dive, the Winston Diva. So these are two very different comps that want to accomplish very different things.
I think Dallas just really has to play super hard peel for their supports in here because their supports are just probably the most valuable parts of their composition. And as I say that, Ghost Dog does get picked by Miracle from that dive actually, and she trades that with Pink Central. Okay. Miracle just walks in with a damage boost from Kabusu and takes care of another one of Dallas's members, and we have a pause coming in from Guangzhou here, even though they won that fight. But I think we just saw why Dive just beats that composition when they get in and close. If Chief doesn't hit that hook, or if Pink Central mitigates the damage from that hook, then there's not really much the Hog does in that composition, and that just allows Guangzhou to get in up and close and personal to take care of whoever they're diving. And surprisingly, it was Ghost Dog who fell first rather than one of the supports, and seems like we're going to be restarting in a short moment, and should be a first point cap for Guangzhou here.
Yeah, they will be able to get the touch with the Wrecking Ball, though. The payload wasn't pushed into a good enough spot to cap in one go. So Dallas trying to get something done here, but the dive tanks from Guangzhou have wrapped all the way around into the backline. This really good rotation here, and trying to find Twitch Burn. They do find it. Fusion gets nanoed, but is going to get taken out. The big flux comes out from Ghost Dog, drops a few onto them, but everyone just sustaining with that Valkyrie just popped. And Bagel finds Mr. Crit. Finds Kabosu as well, but looks like there might just be enough people left, and also the Ana left safe in server room as well for Guangzhou to cap this. And like you were saying, Dallas's comp pretty vulnerable to dives, and I think that honestly running the Ana here is not in your best interest because you don't really, you're more of a liability. You don't get as much value. All of your abilities are going to get value based on cooldowns. I think if they're running the Zenyatta here, they would be able to get a whole lot more value because these dive tanks running or diving in and getting Discord would be able to burn them down. Bob comes out and gets slept in the backline, maybe trying to stop the point here. Valk does come out from Twitch Marine. Pulse as well, but does go wide from Bagel. Pink Central dropping very low. Miracle trying to salvage this. It's the Blade, kills Twitch Marine. He's onto the Ashe now. Gets the Ashe as well, but it's trading back and forth. Mr. Crit, but it's still Guangzhou that's getting the upper hand in this. And I think this all has to do with the fact that the positioning was just not there for Dallas yet, because they did have bad respawns from that first fight. Twitch Marine is onto the brig now, so a decent adaptation into this, but Fusion finding Mr. Crit on a flank, that's pretty good for Dallas for this recontest. Mines come out of point. Pink Central does get demech, does use the bomb to try and get back in mech, does clear all the mines as well. Avalex does pop the Primal Rage, slept in the backline, trying to isolate Fusion, but he does drop low as well. Pink Central low again. Kabosu does die. Flux out onto Evelix, and he's not going to be long for this world. Does get taken out as well. Mr. Crit trading Fusion again. It's always just really back and forth, but it looks like Dallas finally does have it. Mr. Crit does get Ghost Dog, but it just pulse bombs everywhere. Bagel finds Miracle as well, and this fight is just lasting a very long time.
Yeah, actually, and we also saw a lot of Guangzhou's ult bank burn there. I mean, Dallas did trade in some ults, but looks like there should be somewhat even at the moment. If Kikong Poppy can build that nano in time, I think next fight is going to be a nano blade from Guangzhou. They should be looking just to poke here for a little bit, try to get King Kong Poppy the heals he needs. But we're sort of seeing an engage already, actually. Looks like Miracle is going in on the ball, actually. I'm not sure if that's the target they want to dive. A huge anti comes out from ATR into both of the tanks. Evilix drops dangerously, though. Almost killed. And there he goes. Failed finds the pick onto Evilix. However, Kabosu with that res, they have the Nano Blade up from Guangzhou if they want to go right now. Miracle finds Bagel in the backline. And looks like Nano Blade comes out. Immediately slept by ATR. ATR just hitting sleeps all over the place at the moment. Nano onto Fusion with the Deadeye, takes care of Pink Central immediately. But Miracle is still following up on some key kills. Looks like he's going on ATR at the moment, but he's cut down by Fusion. Looks like the DPS, it just seemed like the DPS of Dallas and ATR taking care of that fight single-handedly. Even though Dallas lost, I think, one of their tanks super early in that fight, Guangzhou just comes out ahead. Not Guangzhou. Dallas comes out ahead. ATR hitting clutch sleeps onto and clutch nade at the beginning of that fight, and taking care of Guangzhou almost single-handedly with the help of the DPS.
So a fight for the top of spaceship here. Chief just trying to keep he can't hold this space very well though. So all of Guangzhou being able to take this really good staging area. Flux does come out onto both of the tanks from Ghost Dog, doesn't find anyone, and he's in trouble now. He might get turned on it. This is a big minefield, but it's probably not going to mean a whole lot because there's just so many traded kills here for Guangzhou. It's just cleanup and trying to stuff the spawns here, and Guangzhou might have found what they needed here finally. And I think, the differences in these comps is that Dallas getting some late picks here. That's going to be good for if they want to hold close and maybe force a few more ults, but in the long run, not going to mean a whole lot. Sleep does miss from ATR, and Evelix will be able to clean that up. Ghost Dog is going to want to try to get out, but it's probably not going to happen. Does get taken out by Mr. Crit as well. Miracle walking up again. He does have his blade again. I think if you're Dallas, you start asking your tanks, who the hell is feeding this Genji so much ult charge? We've seen him in the first fight, he built like a 40-second blade, and he's just been damage boosted consistently by Kabosu. That's obviously their win condition. That blue beam has not left that Genji, and here comes the blade again. Nano as well does go onto the backline on a Miracle, or onto Fusion, excuse me. But King Kong Poppy does die in the backline of Bagel's Pulse Bomb. Should get rezzed up here after they deal with the Tracer. But it's actually not going to happen. King Kong Poppy's going to have to walk back from spawn, but Kabosu is getting close to that Valkyrie, so shouldn't be a problem with one healer missing. And it's just stuffing the spawns. Chief does get a pile driver, doesn't really find anyone, but get Nano Kree on a point, but gets slept by King Kong Poppy, a huge sleep, and gets woken up immediately. He's still nanoed, and he just flash right clicks Evelix. I don't think that's exactly what you want to look for. Both tanks down for the side of Guangzhou, and with 30 seconds left, the rally and the Flux come out from Dallas, but probably not ideal considering that if one of these tanks for Guangzhou switch to ball, they'll be able to get a touch anyway. So there still is going to be another fight. Ping Central does have this self-destruct, which could allow them the opportunity to get some to split the team a little bit and get some isolation on these targets. Pulse Bomb comes into the backline out from Bagel, but doesn't find anything. Evelix eats a sleep dart and a rock, and Mines on the point. This is gonna be a big self-destruct from Ping Central, finds Fusion, and now it's just cleaning up the fight for Guangzhou with all these extra ultimates that they just built up during this fight. Miracle finding 3, getting all the dash resets he need, and with 0 time in the bank, at least Guangzhou does get the cap on 3rd.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it pretty well. The second to last fight, Dallas burned Rally and Sigma ult, and not really getting much done with either of those. And so Guangzhou, even though they really only had Primal and Self-Destruct, they were just able to dive onto the backline. There was no Rally to help sustain the backline, and Pink Central just threw a bomb, and there was not really any answer that Dallas could have provided there. So I'm wondering what we'll see from Dallas on attack. Guangzhou, they might stick with the dive on defense. We know dive is super strong on attack. I'm not super. Honestly wouldn't be surprised if Guangzhou blocked the dive again, but seems like they're gonna go with the double shield here. And Dallas opting for a ball Zarya, actually. Not
I
sure if they're
really hope they don't roll out on this. I really hope they don't.
I agree. I mean, Zarya, obviously gonna have to be pushing cart for most of the time, or staying at least with the supports in the open space, and will most likely just get shut down by that double shield composition when she herself does not have a shield to hide behind. But hopefully we'll see some swaps after the first fight, or maybe Dallas just shocks everyone and just rolls over Guangzhou. We'll see.
Yeah, that Zarya is walking out of spawn, and I'd imagine once they turn this corner and see what see it run back to spawn, at least if they at this point they should realize that their huge boop though comes out from Chief. Not going to get a whole lot because holding blue box is more of a formality than anything, just to get poke at the beginning of the point. But Guangzhou walking up this right flank onto the supports that were just on high ground. Like you said, pushing that payload, gets it to the top of the hill, and Dallas playing low ground here. This is not going to be good for them. They're really gonna suffer, and now they're just stuck in this small room. And Twitchy Marine really out of position, ATR is trying desperately to keep him alive. Does end up happening, but also Immortality Field does come out from Guangzhou. But Bagel finds King Kong Poppy, punishing that mistake, and this dive coming out, making a lot of the distance, just getting onto this back line. King Kong Poppy not having that Immortality Field really ended up biting him because Bagel just walked in and one-clipped. And now Dallas is going to walk up, trying to get some staggers. Probably will find Evlex here. He's in a really bad spot. And the rest of Guangzhou should just back up here.
But as we say that, Evilix gets picked off, and Mr. Crit 2 with the pulse bomb from Bagel. Looks like Guangzhou's gonna take a reset and spawn most likely, but Miracle gets caught out in this spaceship. He should be able to get out with recall, and he does. Chief looking for a slam. Oh, he gets stunned out of slam actually, but mines are sadly positioned just a tad bit above the rest of Guangzhou. But Miracle counters back with another pulse bomb onto Twitch Marine there, and finds ATR in the backline. So Miracle just finding both supports there. I would expect Dallas to reset here. There goes Ghost Dog, and I think the rest of Dallas will follow up soon.
Yep. And looking at this ult bank, looking pretty good for Dallas. So they do have the Nano Blade. They also grab as well. If I see grab and the Blade come out at the same fight, I'm gonna mauled very hard. But we're gonna have to see Chief into the backline, into that old spawn, maybe trying to get behind and get some folks. But pulling the trigger already is Ping Central. Ulting the back line, Bubble does come out to save Mr. Crit or Twitch Marine from that damage. Mr. Crit does find ATR though, so it's gonna be back to the drawing board for Dallas. One ult invested for Guangzhou and only really 20 seconds bought. So Dallas not too upset about that. But
especially with that big time bank they captured first point with, I'm not sure they should have burned Flux there. They could have maybe used it to counter the Nano Blade, but instead they opted for that fight win there. A Pulse Bomb comes out, but Miracle's able to recall out of it. And we see Dallas walking up. There comes the Nano Blade. Immortality drops, doesn't really matter. Mirror Fusion just killing basically Bongo Immortality and two of Guangzhou along with that. And should be a cap for Dallas here. Yeah, that was just the difference in ult length there. Dallas just had to press Q, and when they did, it's just a one fight.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think Ping Central should have Flux for the Nano Blade, because they should have known the Nano Blade's their win condition. And the fact that he used that and it didn't even really net them any kills. It was the pick from Mr. Crit that ended up getting them the kills, and we have a full comp switch over to the dive. And I think Ghost Dog with this grab might be able to get something done here if they wait long enough and just poke. They might be able to push this in, just throwing it in the backline onto Kabosu and Evelix, but popping the rally. And Mr. Crit finding both members of the Dallas backline. And that's a disaster for the side of Dallas. You use one of your big win conditions and don't get anything. Ghost Dog does find Mr. Crit, but just going to get taken out and cleaned up. And even though Kabosu falls, it's still going to be cleaned up from the side of Guangzhou. They're on the Bagel now. He doesn't have recall, and he's going to be taken out by Ping. Back to the drawing board by Dallas. They do have the Nano Blade, or they do have the Blade, but they don't have the Nano. So they could farm up this Nano, or they could just go in dry and try and save their Nano for maybe their Tracer on Bagel, who's playing very well. Engage comes out from Chief. It's burned very low, taken down immediately. Nano onto Evelyn, onto Ghost Dog immediately, and just gets bursted down. Very, very easy fight win from the side of Guangzhou, only using that one ult. And it's, I think this is the point where Ghost Dog really needs to ask, like, should I still be on Zarya? Like, he's not going to get much charge, and he's just going to be a liability. And it's going to be the battle of the blades here. ATR does have the Nano, though, so Miracle going to have this blade, but no Nano. Pulse does come on to King Kong Poppy, so there's not going to be a sleep dart for this blade. Miracle finding ATR, though, and Twitch Brain. There's the backline completely gone. Mr. Crit does clean up Ghost Dog as well. Chief just trying to get out as with as much health as possible. Miracle finds Fusion as well, and Evelix finds Bagel. They're just touching the spawn doors. See ya, and see ya later, Zarya. Ghost Dog onto that Sigma now, and I think that was a long time coming.
Yeah, but with the he's onto the Hog now actually, but with that 2 minutes at a time bank, we're burned on that 3rd point hold already. And Guangzhou going early with both their tankles. That should the bomb just slightly a little too high, and Evilix left in the backline, so they really actually didn't get much out of those tank holds. Ghost Dog finds the pick on the Miracle, and while that was happening in the background, Fusion cleaned up much of Guangzhou with his blade there. Ghost Dog finds another on Evilix, but Evilix does get ATR there, so maybe fast defense respawns can make a difference in this fight. With but ATR swaps to the Mars, so he should be back in time for this fight. As I say that though, Chief opting to mine spawn doors, trying to keep Guangzhou inside, finds the pick on the King Kong Poppy, and that's the boop onto the Rowling Brig. Chief actually going huge in this fight, and Bagel finds Mr. Crit with the Deadeye, and it should be clean up from now on, from here on out, and yep. Dallas caps with a slightly bigger tie bank than Guangzhou, but Guangzhou still can make things happen here.
Yeah, I think that fight should have looked good. If you're thinking about how this should have played out, I think it should have looked good for the side of Guangzhou, because Dallas dumped a lot of their ults to even just retake control of the payload, but they did not have, since the payload did push back, since they got held for so long, it was not pushed up far enough where they could just cap it without the recontest. But with a really good play from Chief being able to boop the rallying Brig off that would have bought so much time, it ended up not being very good for Guangzhou. Guangzhou gonna be onto this dive again. And they were basically, Guangzhou's win condition is Kabosu turns on toggle Mercy Beam, and he clicks right click on Miracle, and then he goes and he does chores. He will go, maybe feed his dog, cat. I don't know what kind of animal he has, but he can go, get some stuff done around the house. Maybe get some schoolwork done, and turn his monitor off. Come back in a little bit. Miracle would have killed the team like 4 times in a row, but it's really kind of their win condition. Damn Miracle, it's very much focused around getting this blade up and getting a lot of usage out of this. And Dallas onto the Hogseg again. Same thing they ran, just with Twitch Brain onto the Brig instead of the Mercy. Evelix dives in, does eat a lot of the abilities. Miracle getting hooked, though, doesn't see that coming, deflecting the wrong direction. Bagel into the backline, onto the payload, kills Mr. Crit and King Kong Poppy. So a really good start here for Dallas on this defense. Not much cart push was gained, and also in return, Guangzhou did not get very much ult charge anyway. So it's going to be, really honestly, Guangzhou should be trying to at least... Oh, but Fusion dies immediately onto the well-coordinated dive from Guangzhou. Miracle does drop very low, gets taken down by Ghost Dog, and Bagel finds Kabosu in the backline as well. Bagel slept on Cart, does get taken out. Evelic does get Ghost Dog as well, and Ping Central just gonna have to get out and just protect his supports here. Oh, but Mr. Crit gets hooked in by Chief and killed. King Kong Puppy is asleep in the backline. This is not good. You really wanted to push Cart a lot farther than this. He gets taken out. But Kabosu and Miracle are back, and Miracle does have this blade, and Kabosu gets the res off. Pink Central finds Chief. This could be turned around, but Miracle's dropping very low. It's at 90%, 97%, and 98%. Fusion finds Evelix and Pink Central, but we'll have to see if this blade can be massive. Gets pulled out immediately. Deflect comes out, but the Nano onto Ghost Dog and just pocketing Twitch Marine, and Twitch Marine with the rally, and gets shut down completely by Bagel and Ghost Dog. And that was honestly not looking very good for Guangzhou, but for a second there, it was looking like it could come back as well. Ping Central gets hooked by Chief and gets whole hogged off the point, and Twitch Marine finds Mr. Crit. And Guangzhou not even getting the payload up the hill. They're going to have to pull some really good hold here in the first half of the map, which notoriously is not a very good place for defenders to hold. So this is going to be a very big challenge for Guangzhou.
Yeah, I was about to say that Dallas I think they just learned from that first attack from Guangzhou and they just adapted to their dive. They realized what cooldowns they should actually burn or how they should play around the dive. And when the monkey comes in, we saw Evilix, he jumped in and got immediately burned down to almost 10 HP and had to get out. But I was about to say that was almost a Pepe God moment for Dallas there. I'm not sure if the cameras caught this, but Chief hooked that Diva Bomb into himself when the Diva Bomb was actually going into.
I didn't see that.
The Diva Bomb was about to just go into a room and almost basically hit no one, but then Chief just, I guess he just had a death wish that time. He comes back though just in time and whole hogs out all of Guangzhou off the point. But as we see here, Guangzhou going back to the double shield that they ran on defense before, but this time Dallas starting out with the Sigma ball instead of the Zarya ball. I actually really like that change.
I do as well. And Guangzhou did not see the angle that I saw. Because of where the payload was pushed, I honestly would have opted for a cheese strat of holding Car Wash with Brawl, but they opt not for that. Just trying to run this double shield a little bit better. Chief into the backline, probably going to look for a boop here. Ping Central does seem to catch on to where he is, just trying to scout out a little bit for the ball. Big stun comes out from Kabosu, though. Chief forced to run out with his tail between his legs, grab a Mega, but this payload is already close, and Guangzhou just I don't think they realized that the payload was that close, and it's going to be really difficult, but a little bit of an overstay from Ghost Dog and ATR into that low ground, and Guangzhou going to be able to hold this. I think, Guangzhou kind of saying like, oh crap, we got to drop on the payload, and then I don't think Dallas was expecting them to drop as a full 6. And Ghost Dog just gets overwhelmed. Ghost Dog and ATR both get overwhelmed. Chief onto the Roadhog here. No ults for either team, but Miracle does have that Pulse Bomb now, so you could try and find a pick here that could really allow Guangzhou to get this really good hold. Pulse Bomb goes wide, doesn't find anything. And Evelix going to be holding the low ground, and the rest of the team holding server. I really like this. Ping Central just trying to get some damage. Oh, gets hooked into the team. Really mismanagement of his shield there. And that's not going to be what Guangzhou's looking for. Now Evelix is just going to have this really strong stand, and they're going to have to give up server, which means that this is probably going to be the end of Guangzhou. And we might be going to a map 5 here. Mr. Crit does have the high noon, but gets hooked in by Chief again. Chief turns around, kills Evelix as well, and they're going to push the payload in. And we're going to a map 5. At halftime, we were talking about how this match wasn't delivering, and that it was a very quick 2-0 from Guangzhou. But there might be a reverse sweep here. This might have been the banger that we were all promised. And just looking at Miracle just using this blade in this small room with a lot of people, and that was the really fast blade that he got, the 45-second blade or something like that. But I think Guangzhou is, I think that they their comp was a little bit too one-dimensional
Yeah,
and
I think
it wasn't
yeah.
really balanced enough.
As you're saying, I think Guangzhou is just relying on their DPS a lot to make the plays for them. Like on defense, we saw. I mean, we always talk about Miracle on that attack, right? But on defense, even Mr. Crit was popping off. He picked off both supports multiple times, I think. But
Mhm.
I really don't think Guangzhou, like, I don't think their dive is actually working out here. I would expect them to go back to their double shield that they were running before halftime or their even Rhine comp if we actually get a Rhine map that's coming up. But actually, speaking of maps, what do you think Guangzhou's going to go with here?
So I'm actually not quite sure what tiebreaker map is. I'm gonna go pull it up real quick. I have
We
it
know it's not
here.
Busan.
Yeah, we know it's
But
not Busan, that's for sure. We know it's a King of the Hill map. We know it's not. Control. It's gonna be one of the other two not picked previously, so it could be Ilios or Paul. So I would honestly expect. Honestly, I don't know what I would expect from these teams because
yeah, so
yeah, sorry.
Ilias,
We're just trying to figure out maps here.
yeah, for sure. I mean, Ilias, we usually see a lot of ball. Maybe double shield can be run on ruins. But and well, that's a pretty good double shield map if you just hold in the corner. But also, well, we might get those Mimi boop comps. We don't know. Um, but the
Bosu's eyes
Hall.
glowing.
He did pop off huge on that Lucio and Icon Wall bridge.
Yes, he
Um,
did.
but on Nepal, that sort of seems like a more like, and I mean, we have honestly, I don't really remember a single name of any Nepal map. I just know that they're snowy, or you got that really big pit in the middle. But the one with the big pit, yeah, we'll just go with that one. That
Sanctum?
one, yeah, Sanctum, yeah, that one we also see a lot of ball in there for sure. So it seems like none of these are really double shield maps as we see like a lot of times with King of the Hill and the variety of maps they have in that rotation. But it'll be interesting to see what Guangzhou is wanting. And they're looking for a sub for Viper, actually. I'm pretty sure he's gonna swap out the pink central here.
And it's
Or
gonna be for Evolix.
Avalix. Alright. Um so what do you make of that? I'm not really familiar with Guangzhou's players here.
So when they swap out Evolix, this probably means that Viper is going to come in to play the Sigma, and Ping Central is going to play the Wrecking Ball. So I think on Busan, because of the opportunity for them to play the Brawl on Mecha Base, they wanted to run Evolix. But on, or did they say which map we're going to? Yeah, they still have not picked a map, but I think both of these maps, there's other than Village, there's not really any map where you would expect to see Reinhardt. And I think that. Wait, did they pick a map? Oh yeah,
Oh
Nepal.
yeah,
They said Nepal. So, I would imagine they're going to run the ball and the Sigma, which I think would be the stronger comp here. We'll have to see actually what they end up running. There might be some brawl on. There might be some brawl on Village, but I think other than that, it's going to be mostly ball sig, and it's going to be back to these comps that I think neither team really entertained that except for Dallas. Dallas did run a little bit. Guangzhou did kind of take a little bit of a sin break with their weird comps on. I say weird, but it's more just kind of off meta comps on Gibraltar and Anubis, and it did end up getting. I think it did end up affecting their ability to actually pull out those the wins in those maps. But we'll have to see if they're just going to go back to the tried and true Ball Sigma, or if we are going to see some more wacky shenanigans coming from both of these teams. First map is going to be Sanctum. So this is the map that you're talking about with the big pit. It's this is the perfect Ball Sigma map, in my opinion. because, you know, Ball can get a lot of value. His mind's just in a lot of these chokes and a lot of these open areas is just really good for Ball. You know, there's also the opportunity for environmental kills, both on the point and also on the coast side as well. Yeah, both teams running the Ball Sig, with the only change being, well, I think that Guangzhou is gonna probably put Kabosu on the Brig here.
I would hope so.
But Twitch Marine and ATR on Brig Ana, which, Kabosu, please. Thank you. I think overall, I like Guangzhou's comp a lot better, getting a lot more value out of this Zen with Discord and the Transcendence, and just the inherent damage over the nades and sleeps. I don't think get a whole lot of value in this meta, and the fact that they are cooldown based. There's a lot of different. Big engage from Chief, but does get stunned immediately. But a sleep onto King Kong Poppy, as I was saying, that just gets taken him out immediately. Ping Central off the map. And Dallas taking some early real estate here on the coast side. Viper does fall, and so does Kabosu as well. And Dallas is cleaning this up, and eventually are going to rotate over to point and start capping. Looks like it's going to be Fusion's job. And we'll just have to see. So I think that was just a big mistake from King Kong Poppy / Viper. The sleep dart did not get blocked, and it was allowed a big engage from Chief. Bagel drops very low. His Discord. A little bit of a split here from Guangzhou, trying to put pressure onto Chief as well as the backline. Mr. Crit does take out Chief. Pinkster also falls on the other side, so no wrecking balls for either of these teams. But King Kong Poppy finds Twitch Marine, and Ghost Dog gets taken out on point. And this Zenyatta really getting a lot of value already with just the long range poke and just the being able to have this Discord. But kills getting traded back and forth. Guangzhou might have traded off a little bit more than they can chew, or bit off a little bit more than they can chew. Bagel with a few picks here now turns his eyes to Ping Central, who is trying to take cover and finds Kabosu instead. And it's gonna be Bagel just killing everyone. And Fusion should have just let him have that feed there, but Ping Central does fall, walking up a little bit too far from the side of Guangzhou. And they're gonna be Dallas is back in control.
Yeah, I think as you just mentioned, like that Zen, I mean, not really the Zen there. It was mostly just Guangzhou's mistake with overextending. Viper just caught out early, and as I say that, Ghost Dog hits a huge flux, and a classic flux mines combo gets rid of 2 members of Guangzhou there. Fusion answers with another Deadeye, and picks off Ping Central in the process, and Miracle. Looks like Guangzhou is just gonna take a reset here. Not really sure what Dallas does next fight. They only have Rally to work with, while on Guangzhou's side, you have both tank ults and the Transcendence to sustain throughout. And Miracle starts off with a pick onto Bagel. Another Mine Sigma Flux, except most of the mines this time got stuck there. That might actually be really bad for Guangzhou. They weren't able to get enough kills, but as you say that, Miracle pops off with another kill on the Ghost Dog. Chief rolls into some mines, unlucky. And seems like Guangzhou clean up real quick, or hopefully not overextend again like last time.
Yeah, looking at this next fight, Twitch Marine did use that rally at the very end. Had that. Kabosu's at 50% to his rally, so probably not that big of a deal. But Viper gets booped in, has to use King Kong Poppy has to use a trance to try and bail him out. But they do go aggressive with that Fine Chief and Twitch Marine, and this is going to allow Kabosu to really build up this rally. He does drop low though. He's going to get very close to his rally, and that's going to be key for this next fight. You know, a lot of this support line is about using your rally so that your Zen can play more aggressive, and then using your Transcendence so that your Brig can be more aggressive, and then just being able to rotate these support ults. So you saw King Kong Poppy, you know, had to use the Transcendence to bail out Viper, but Flux comes out from Ghost Dog, but gets stunned by Mr. Crit, and another pile driver engage, but not going to amount to anything. Nano does come out on a Ghost Dog, but he's just getting focused down. It doesn't matter that he's got that durability. Mine's coming out on point on Chief to just try and get as much as possible. Flux in the backline from Viper. Mr. Crit holding the Deadeye does find Bagel. King Central does fall as well, but a few return picks onto Miracle and Viper coming out from Dallas. and the rally's popped by Cabosu. He's just trying to stall on point for as long as possible. Pink Central's back, trying to help his Brig, and might be able to get this ball here. And Chief dropping very low, really low, but does end up surviving. Bagel and Ghost Dog find Mr. Crit and Cabosu, and it's cleanup again for Dallas. I'm not quite sure how they keep turning these fights around, but Pink Central just has to try and get out. Does get the health pack, so he is going to be able to get out, but still being chased by Chief. He might actually get caught out here. Drops the mines just to try and get something here, but I don't think that was the play he wanted. And Nano comes out onto Bagel, Viper touching the point just to try and keep it going. And Pulse Bomb comes out on a Twitch Marine, but does go wide. And stun from Cabosu, but it's not going to be... Pink Central going to tag in last second, but it's going to get stunned up by all of the CC on the side of Dallas, and Dallas takes the first round on Sanctum.
I think just Guangzhou making a couple of elementary mistakes there. They were just overextending a little too much, or staying on the other side where they shouldn't be, or staying on the opposition side. And they're just... Not only were, as you saw, like Viper getting booped in multiple times into Dallas's team, but we also saw a bunch of environmental kills coming out from Dallas there. I'm pretty sure Chief got a boop, Twitch Marine got a boop. There were probably some other boops that I probably didn't see, but just them standing so close to the pit and not really having any pathways out from that position, it was just really hard for Guangzhou to play that comp and rotate out if they needed.
We have a little bit of an adaptation from Guangzhou here. Echo, time we've seen Echo this series, Miracle on the Echo, but because Guangzhou didn't teleport out, they are not going to be able to contest this high ground. They're going to have to settle for going main or kitchen here. And that's going to be a little bit of a mistake, because a lot of Echo is really trying to get set up and be able to have free ability to rotate around and be able to stay above the enemy team. A lot of low health bars already on the side of Guangzhou, and Pink Central does find Chief though, but also very low. Fusion finds Mr. Crit, and Pink Central finds ATR as well. Point Flip does go over to Guangzhou early, so they can just honestly sustain. They're taking up on their time. King Kong Puppy finds Bagel, and Mr. Crit gets res, and Twitch Marine just trying to trade as many kills as possible. Ghost Dog does find King Kong Poppy, being able to walk forward and trade those kills will mean that Zen is going to be walking back from spawn. And it's a very interesting fight, but a fight win indeed for the side of Guangzhou.
Yeah, we see Chief making the swap over to the Bull. I like that. We saw the Hog. He wasn't able to get much value. They just got blown up immediately when you have to peek out for the hook. We see a Pulse comes out, goes wide from Bagel. But Miracle gets Ghost Dog with the focusing beam, but Fusion trades with Pink Central here. And we're seeing a hard engage. Oh, Fusion tries dead-eyeing for a Miracle play, but just gets caught out in the open. Not really much he could have done there. Looks like Dallas should be looking to reset here. Mr. Crit goes wide with his Pulse Bomb. Bagel finds King Kong Poppy in the back again. Looks like he's gonna have to take a walk. Or actually, to say that, he gets rezzed up. Bagel's still looking around the back. We see a copy onto Sigma from Miracle. He's probably gonna look to Flux as quickly as possible here. Doesn't want Dallas to get out at all. Here it comes. Only gets one though in the back, and as I say that, Bagel finds another pick on the King Kong Poppy. Bagel going in on the Sigma, Viper falls. Pink Central gets stunned up, should drop here. He's half. And there's Pink Central, there goes Cabosu, and looks like another win for Dallas. I think King Kong Poppy is just having a really hard time staying alive there. Bagel just has his number, and since they don't have a Brig or really any sort of peel for him with the Kree either, they're on the Echo now. King Kong Poppy is just like a free target for Bagel most of the time.
Yeah, and I think Cabosu putting a lot of effort into pocketing Miracle on the Echo. But I think, you have to also keep track of your Zen as well. Zen, a lot of your damage with that Discord. A Fusion finding Ping Central on our bad engage, but also gets taken out by Mr. Crit as well. Pulse Bomb comes out from Bagel. King Kong Poppy forced to pop the trance, and Mr. Crit does find ATR. They do grow aggressive with this trance. They're going to be able to mines onto the point from Chief. And Bagel does find King Kong Poppy again, but mines from Ping as well. A lot of them getting stuck in the roof, but you know, what's done is done. And they will be able to get the flip back, and it's going to be scrambling from the side of Dallas. Dallas onto that Lucio, again, just to try and tag into this point since Chief did die late. And Guangzhou looking to deny this Lucio from touching at all. And he doesn't get the touch, just barely missing it. And we're going to the last map, so we're going to be going to Shrine. And honestly, that round was strange. I don't think really either team was doing a very good job at taking advantage of the engages that their Wrecking Balls were doing. I think there's just a disconnect between the front line and the back line on both of these teams, and it's just kind of the only reason I think that Dallas is really even kind of like hanging in here is because Bagel just keeps getting a pick on King Kong. I think King Kong switching over to the BAP because this might be a little bit easier for him to stay alive against that Tracer. And then Chief back onto the Roadhog as well.
Yeah, I really don't like this Roadhog pick. Unless he can get like a hook at the beginning of the fight, I really think that Roadhog will just get burned up super easily. Not only by the Echo in the sky, but there's just so much yet. Oh, well, as I say that, Chief gets the hook onto Pink Central. Lamp comes out a little too late from King Kong Poppy. But Mr. Crit trades Ghost Dog here, and they get the res on Pink Central here, so they should be even. Looks just like Pink Central stalling out and pointing on the ball. They should be looking to go in, and huge pile driver from Pink Central there. Not enough follow-up on that, though. Viper gets hooked in, drops dangerously low. Still pretty low here, gets stunned up, but Fusion goes a little too aggro there and gets picked off. Nano on the Chief here. Misses hook, just gets burned by the Echo Beam. Huge anti comes out from ATR though. 3 members of Guangzhou anti, but there's just not enough members of Dallas to follow up on it. Copy from Miracle onto the Kree. Just duels with Fusion and just takes him out. There's Deadeye. And looks like a strong hold or strong capture from Guangzhou there. They did have to burn Copy, but I think that was necessary and a good decision from them. Dallas, on the other hand, burned both supportals, swaps over to that break from the Mercy. Still sticking with the Ana though. Looks like they're going to be trying to shut down Mr. Crit in the back or even Ping Central and just protect their backline as much as possible.
Yeah, Twitch Marine onto the brig means they are going to want to walk a little more. Fusion does find Kabosu from that Deadeye in the midair, but the damage has been done. Viper finds Fusion, does trade back 2 on Ghost Dog and Bagel. Sleep does come out onto Viper, but it's not going to mean a whole lot because ATR's days are numbered anyway. And Bagel onto the Sombra now, playing a little bit of Mystery Heroes here. He was on the Doomfist for 1 round, now onto the Sombra, maybe trying to shut down Ping a little bit here. But just a little bit of a change in Ping's playstyle, and that Sombra is not going to get any value whatsoever. Dallas walking high ground. I think this is smart for their backline. But Miracle is going to have free shooting here if he gets above them, which he is just spamming from point. But Flux does come out on a 3 from Ghost Dog, but Mr. Crit finds Ghost Dog and Miracle finds Fusion as well. And taking up to 80%, Guangzhou can slow this fight down and try to win it slowly, and they can make it a very awkward recontest here for Dallas. And like you said, Dallas onto this Hog, I don't think it's getting what they want done. Bagel's onto the Widowmaker, back onto the Tracer, and Twitch Marine's onto the Lucio to get the touch. And this is just, I don't think this is the end that we were promised. Miracle gets burned out of his Echo copy immediately, but Chief finds Kabosi with the whole Hog somehow. Miracle finds Ghost Dog in the backline, finds Fusion as well, and Mr. Crit finds ATR. This might be Guangzhou finally cleaning it up, denying the reverse sweep. Chief just taking a breather on point. It gets taken out. Twitch Marine just trying to stall as long as possible to see if Bagel can get anything done. But Bagel with no recall and half HP just gets run over by Ping Central. And Ghost Dog coming back but can't tag into the point. It's going to be Guangzhou denying the reverse sweep and winning the round, or winning the match 3-2.
I think we just saw Guangzhou's DPS just flex and just completely obliterate Dallas from the backline, from the front line. They were just everywhere in that fight. We saw Miracle get 2 picks on two picks that fight, and then Mr. Crit picks up ATR in the back while Dallas is looking ahead. I just think the flanks I just think the DPS coordination was on a different level. They've had, like, we saw Mr. Crit pop off multiple times too on Icon Ball with that Kree. On first plane, he got it like a 6K. But then we saw Miracle on Gibraltar with that Chigenji just continually getting blades almost every single fight. Like, if I would have to say a player of the match here, or it seems like they're going with Miracle here.
Yeah, I told Guangzhou to pick because I was lazy, but I think I think if I did pick, I would have also picked Miracle as well. Like you said, you're talking them up. Even on Gibraltar, which is a map they lost, putting in a tremendous performance on that Genji, and also in that last map, an integral role in really trying to take Claw's team over the finish line, and on that Echo pick as well. And we'll see if we can get Miracle in for a player of the match interview here in a second. But yeah, I think, Guangzhou slipped up a little bit in maps 3 and 4. He ran some weird stuff a little bit, in my opinion, some off meta comps. And I think that it ended up getting punished by Dallas just running something a little bit more standard. But Guangzhou able to deny the reverse sweep in the end. We ended up getting the banger that we were promised. 3-2 victory for Guangzhou over Dallas here, and they will be retaining their number 1 spot in the Pacific Division. So they should be going home happy about that. And they will be able to they're going to be feeling pretty good going into playoffs. Both of these teams are still going to be skipping the play-ins, but the seeding is going to help out Guangzhou for sure.
Actually, while we're on the talk of playoffs and seeding, Boston finished their match, I think, like a couple of minutes ago, or a while ago, actually. And they finished with 3-0, so they moved to 7-2 with the plus 16. And Guangzhou, well, they did win today. They only won 3-2. I mean, not only, but you know what I mean. But because of that,
+1 from today.
Mm-hmm. So they also go 7-2 with a plus 16 map differential. So I'm pretty sure tiebreakers are broken by common opponents. I don't really have that pulled up at the moment, but second seed just got very interesting, and Dallas, with that loss, sadly drops to the 6th seed in playoffs. Still playoffs though, so they will be able to skip play-ins, as you mentioned. And it looks like Seoul and Houston will take the 4th and 5th seeding spots respectively.
Yeah. So, like a lot of really good, or a lot of interesting play. Actually, I was going to say some really good play, but I think interesting is a better word for it. Definitely a very intense match, and a lot of really strong performances. A lot of strong performances coming out from DPS players on both sides. Bagel, Miracle, Mr. Crit, all really putting on a show here. And Fusion had some really good plays as well, but he was kind of playing a little bit more of a team-based DPS, so he didn't get as much of the spotlight as he could. But it doesn't seem like we're going to get our player of the match interview, so we'll have to, just unfortunately we won't be able to get Miracle in here to ask about him, because I honestly want to talk to him to see, because he's a new player. What's that? Okay, yeah. So we're not gonna get the interview, but I wanted to ask him, see how he's fitting in with the new Guangzhou squad. Anyway, this is the end of the regular season, the Simplicity Tournament. So this is the last week 10. So we are going to be going into playoffs here shortly, starting with the play-ins. So all the teams below the top 6. Remember, it's the top 6 overall. So if teams aren't in that top 6, they're going to have a chance at making it into those, I would assume, final 2 slots or final 4 slots. Can you correct me if I'm wrong, TK? Okay, and then how many spots are they playing for in plans? No, I
I
mean like,
think
but like how many people like move on from plans to the actual playoffs?
I'm pretty sure it's only 2. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, so yeah, there are going to be 6 teams fighting for 2 spots to get into the playoffs, and then hopefully we'll have the playoffs done before Christmas time. But we are going to be hoping to catch some of those matches and definitely a lot of the later playoffs matches as well. So we will see you guys then. Um, this was a little bit unexpected, but I want us to give a quick shout out to Who Knows, who unfortunately had internet. He killed it on the first map, and I have been Cesian, and I've been joined by Killswitch. And thank you for watching, and we will see you guys in playoffs.